people come to Mighty Oaks. The people that come to us, many of them are on the brink of suicide to the point to where we lose people in the process, right? They apply, they have like maybe a week or 2 weeks. We lost a guy like last month who pulled over. He applied for Mighty Oaks. He had a week to get to the program, pulled over on the side of the road, took all his pills and took his life. Like, this is not, what we do is not a game. It's like life and death. And so I need to have the best people doing this.
Hey guys, if you missed out on the last conference in Nashville, Tennessee, you don't want to miss out on the next one. It's April 28th through May 3rd, Orlando, Florida, the Gaylord Palms Resort and Convention Center. You made a mistake missing the last one. You don't want that to happen again on this one. 5 days of some of the best training you're ever going to experience packed into one event. We have an early bird special right now, $50 off. Use 24 early bird on our website, streetcop.com. Look for the conference, click the link, register today. If you want to get significantly better at this profession in 5 days, don't dare miss out on the 2024 Street Cop Conference.
111, 110.
Training to be a street cop.
Dude, I know the last time we talked, there was like this guilt of not being able to help more. And we talked about that, like, right? It's like there was, and I think about that conversation a lot because I have guilt at times. And so you said, well, I know that I have guilt, but we also have saved thousands upon thousands of lives. How do you manage and cope with that guilt? I know you're doing so much work. Like, do you feel yourself having friction with the things that are essentially maybe luxuries?
I do. I'm gonna pull up. I got my phone in my hand right now. I'm not texting. I'm actually pulling up something that. So I just got this morning. Hey, big brother, I don't know why you forgot me. Do you know what a bad situation we are living in? Just from another Afghan. I go back down there. My WhatsApp and my Signal, thousands and thousands of message. People just want help, right? And they seen a glimpse of hope because we were able to help people, and they think that I have the ability to help them in ways that I don't. And so they reach out to me like, why'd you forget me? Like, and man, I get those messages and it just tears up my soul because I want to do more. I can't imagine the position. This is from Afghan, right? I can't imagine these positions these people are in. And, winter's coming. They know that people are going to freeze to death, starve to death. Not to mention their daughters and sisters and wives are going to be sexually enslaved, and little girls as young as 9 years old. So my heart just breaks and wants to do more. And I'm still can't talk exactly about some of the things we're doing right now, but we still are working on getting more people out of Afghanistan, the right people out of Afghanistan, women and little girls and the interpreters. And but it's so complicated, right? Because I can't just go and get on a plane and fly to Afghanistan and rescue people, right? As soon as I move people across the border, even if I got people to the border, as soon as I move people across the border, I'm human trafficking now. So like you have to be, working with the U.S. State Department and other foreign governments. Unfortunately, now I get work with the Taliban. And because that is the government, even though they're not a government, that is the government of Afghanistan. So, it's very complex, but we're trying to do everything we can. But man, the pressure I just feel every day just tears at me, man. I want to do more. I'm very proud of what we did, but it just doesn't feel like enough. So,
how do you feel like you penetrate into the hearts and minds of people who essentially have more means to help? How do you say to the guy who's got 6 Bentleys in his garage, living in a $45 million mansion, hey man, like, we need help over here? How do you get across to people like that?
I mean, the much is given, much is expected, right? We, when you have the resources to help people, and then you should. And fortunately, I can't speak for all of them. Unfortunately, I have been blessed to be friends with several people of high capacity, high net worth that have, Bentleys in their, maybe not Bentleys in their garages, but helicopters and Land Rovers, and they are people that have a heart to help and help others. And just the other day, I was working on an international operation. I called the guy, and I was going to move a large amount of cash from America to another country. I don't want to say the details of where we're going to do it, and I got a letter from the House Foreign Affairs Committee Congressman Corey Mills, awesome dude. Got me a letter from the House Foreign Affairs Committee to move this money, but I couldn't do it on a commercial airline. And so I called a wealthy buddy of mine and said, hey, here's what we're going to do. There's these girls that need to be moved, or, they're going to probably die. And he said, give me an hour, call me back, and had a private jet lined up.
Wow.
A very expensive private jet. I mean, without any question. So there are good people out there with the capacity to just step up and help when, and it's really encouraging to see. I mean, Wayne Hughes Jr., who's his father founded public storage. I mean, when the Afghan evac would not have happened without him, he called me up and asked me how he could help, and he wrote the first check to get that going. Glenn Beck is not his personal wealth, but he helped him raise tens of millions of dollars to get their Sean and Lindsay Snyder, owners of In-N-Out Burger. I mean, anytime something like that happens, man, they're just like. But they also I think it's also important to know that, especially for these in the nonprofit world, the reason these people say yes to me is because they trust me, because over the last 12 years, they've seen I haven't taken advantage. There's been times they want to jump in and hey, where can I write a check? And I'm like, I don't need a check right now. Don't give me any money right now. Don't waste instead of just taking, right? It's I may need money and I'll let you know when I do, but I don't need anything right now. And so it's building trust with those people and making sure they can trust, because people that have, 6 Bentleys in the garage, they get worn out and abused and taken advantage of almost every day of their life. And so they're looking to be around people who have integrity and are going to do the right thing, and they can trust with their resources. In the kind of veteran, just the NGO space, non-government organization space, nonprofit world, what you find is a need, right? There's people that need help, need resources. And then you have people of capacity that have the ability to help. When I say of capacity, sometimes you have people that write a $20 check and some people that write $1 million check, right? But in between that, there has to be a conduit of someone that could, take these resources and put them in action to help the people in need. And that's why for me, it's never felt difficult to be a fundraiser and ask for money. I'm just a conduit in between. I get the good job of being able to go, here's the need, here's somebody that wants to help. I put the conduit together and make sure I bring it together with integrity and get the need met and desires of the donor. If a lot of nonprofits would view it that way and run operations that way, I think we'd have a lot more impact, because what you see otherwise is people just want to take and raise money and stockpile it or not really use it for direct impact, and people feel taken advantage of. They feel cheated. The people that the need isn't met. It just creates a lot of frustration. And so bringing integrity into the process and actually letting people feel part of the process is, has been super effective for what we do. And it's very rewarding for everyone involved.
I remember a while back there being some uproar about some of the CEOs of some of these nonprofits and what their salaries are.
Right.
And so, I'd like to discuss my feelings on that publicly here. And so I think there's a big miss that people don't understand about the business world and how important a CEO is. And so I think the smart thing is when the Red Cross says, you know what, we really need somebody to organize this thing. We're probably losing more money on the back end not having somebody who's high paid at the top end or the front end, because we're mismanaging things. So we might as well just pay the $1.2 million salary to this person who deserves and commands it, in return to save $25 million on the back end or $100 million on the back end. But of course, to the sheep in the world, they see this and go, I'm not donating money to the Red Cross or, Wounded Warrior Project, because look at what their CEOs make. Does everybody understand how that works and why the decision was made? And maybe you could speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with you, actually. I remember when the uproar, first of all, the Wounded Warrior Project, when I look at an organization, I don't look at what the staff makes. I look at the impact. That's what you need to look at. Get your eyes off the numbers. Look at the impact. If I had a problem with the Wounded Warrior Project at that time, it wasn't what staff was getting paid. I had a problem with the impact. They were not making impact in the programs that they were claiming there was. So I did have a problem with Wounded Warrior Project during all that. But what I did have a problem with is the CEO was making, I think it was $450,000 a year. The guy was raising, hundreds of millions of dollars. And I'm like, I'll hire him as my marketing developer today for $450,000, because it's just math, right? It's just simple math. If he's raising hundreds of millions of dollars and I have to pay them $450,000 to do it, the math says that's a good investment. And I think there's this problem that I have with the nonprofit world, and it's not a popular thing for me to say. People get mad at me for saying it. But when a nonprofit says that we're 100% volunteer and no money goes to salaries, I would say that's usually either a hobby or a well-intended hobby probably, but it's not going to be as impactful as it can be. I pay all of my staff members, and we're blessed to be able to do this, and I'm proud to say we are, at industry standard, or maybe even in some cases a little bit higher than industry standard. Why? Because they're freaking awesome at what they do. They work hard. They're passionate about what they do. And I want them focused on their job and not on Indeed all day looking for a way to be able to buy groceries and put their kids in private school. I want them to feel like appreciated and want to stay. I want them, if I find a good employee that's good at the job that we do, I want them to be here 20 years. I don't want them going off to another job. That's super important to me. If I was not in the business of what I do now at Mighty Oaks in the nonprofit world, and I was making, I don't know, if I was making coffee for a living, I would want to run that business to sell the most coffee as I could, to serve the best coffee I could, and I would hire the best people I could do to do that, and I'd pay them the most I could. What I do is a lot more important than serving coffee. We save lives. We restore families. We change legacies for eternity. Our international program goes around and saves people and they can't help themselves around the world. Like, that's way more important than selling coffee. So why should I not run it like a business in a way that's going to be the most efficient and most impactful? And that requires me to pay my people really well. And I'll never apologize about that. Because the reason we're successful at what we do and able to help so many people is we've got good employees and we compensate them well. And they have 401ks. They have the best healthcare that I could get them, and they have competitive salaries. And again, that lets them focus on their jobs. And so and by the way, we do all that. And we run we're still able to run about 75% of our money goes to programs and 25% goes to overhead, which is a really healthy number. So look at those numbers, the percentages and the impact of programs instead of looking at individual salaries. And I think that's a super important lesson for people to look at. And you can't be critical. Like I said, the guy that runs the American Red Cross, that's a massive organization, and the market space demands that kind of salary for that kind of person. And so if they're paying pennies on a dollar for, they're going to get that. They're going to get a low quality person that doesn't have the ability to run that organization the way it needs to be run and the way it deserves to be run. So that's my take on it.
Just another fine example of how the media has misled everybody to generate self-interested revenue for their own organization. It makes me nuts.
Well, I mean, I think our culture too, like this culture of like victimization, like penalizes people for being successful. I mean, man, the guys that work at Mighty Oaks, like I have a guy, Ian Hunter, who's he's going to be our new CEO at Mighty Oaks. I mean, this guy's like 20 years, retired at JSOC. He was with the National Missions Unit, 16 deployments, Sergeant Major at JSOC, running millions and millions of dollars in programs, got a master's in organizational management. That guy deserves to be, taken care of. Will Taylor, our COO, the guy's only 28 years old. He's a Marine, combat veteran, got out of the Marine Corps as a combat veteran, went to work as a chief of staff in Congress, got his master's in public policy, got a certified professional project management certification. Like, he's worked his butt off. He deserves to be compensated well. And if I don't compensate a guy like that well, he's gonna go get a job in the private space somewhere. So these guys are freaking pipe hitter, like business guys who have veterans backgrounds, and they deserve to be. And because we're able to have them, Mighty Oaks is, crushing it, and we're helping a lot of people. And if I had some volunteers running it, by the way, no offense to volunteers. I love the fact of volunteers and the heart behind it, right? But if I had volunteers doing this, it'll be run like volunteers. And when I'm in the business of people, like people come to Mighty Oaks, the people that come to us, many of them are on the brink of suicide to the point to where we lose people in the process, right? They apply, they have like maybe a week or 2 weeks. We lost a guy like last month who pulled over. He applied for Mighty Oaks. He had a week to get to the program. pulled over on the side of the road, took all his pills and took his life. Like this is not, it's not a, what we do is not a game. It's like life and death. And so I need to have the best people doing this. This is not a place for volunteers. In fact, I'll volunteer. We have our part-time adjunct staff that teaches our programs, and I don't allow volunteers to teach. They ask to be like a lot of them are like, hey, I don't need the money. We don't pay a lot. I think we pay them like $1,500 for the week. We pay for the expenses of $1,500 for the week. But a lot of them like, I don't need the money. Like I want to volunteer, come here. And I say, no, if you don't want the money, you can donate it back, right? Go to mightyoaksprograms.org, donate it back. But I'm paying you. And the reason I'm paying you is because we have a high standard, because it's life or death. It's eternity for people. It's people's salvation, right? This is an important job. And I'm paying you because when I have a high standard and you don't meet it, I don't want you to come back and say, hey, what do you, I'm volunteering for you here. No, we're paying you to do a job that's important and you're going to do it to our standard. And so that's how I run our business. And again, people might not like that, but it's the way we function, and it's the way we've really excelled as an organization.
I think anytime you're doing something fantastic or anything in general, there's always going to be booze from the cheapest seats, right? So these people, I think I saw a video clip recently. I want to say it was a basketball player, and I think the guy was yelling at the guy in the audience. He's like, yeah, you're criticizing me. You're the one sitting in the fucking stands watching me. And I was like, oh, exactly, right? Like, so even us as an organization, people will say things like we have this thing coming out called Street Cop University, which had been my project for the past couple months, and hopefully we're finalizing things. Actually, we're working on that earlier today. And so we'll suffer criticisms about, oh, just more money for street cop training. Like, guys, when you see the price of this thing versus what, like, and I just keep flashing this thing in my mind. First of all, I want to just preface this by saying the services that we provide are life and death. Like, that's the truth, man. Like, so you have to understand, in order for us to become bigger and get to more people, we need to procure revenue. Do I make money? Yes. Do I deserve to make money? Yeah, I do. But I have made far less money than I could have been if I was being significantly more selfish. But
sure, yeah.
People have to understand that, like, we can't make more programs and make things bigger and put more content out that helps you unless we make more money to do so.
Yeah, at Mighty Oaks, we've done, in the last 12 years, I've done $50 million in free programs to veterans, first responders. I couldn't have, we do $8 million a year in programming. Like I bust my butt to go out and raise this money and go out and speak and do all the things, but because we want to be able to provide this free programming, I would not have been able to do that with all volunteer, force, or pay my people subpar. And so, it's, we get to do great work because of the people that support us and because of the incredible employees that we have. So
people don't know the back end, behind the scenes frustrations and challenges. It is not fun at times. And I'm sure you could speak to that, but it is really can bring you to your knees trying to figure this stuff out. And even sometimes I'm like, I could have just done what everybody else did. Like, I have those days I'm just like, I could have just done what everybody else did and not have this headache at this time. But you know what? That time comes and goes. And I'm thankful for the opportunity I've had to come out and try to make a difference in the world.
Yeah, I think people want to be entrepreneurs and people want to do their own things. They don't have to work for anyone. And that's like, man, there's no working for yourself or leading something, being an entrepreneur or an innovator. Like it requires tremendous amount of work. I've been at Mighty Oaks for 12 years and running it and most weeks are 100-hour weeks for me. And my staff, like, they're nonstop. I always say, like, this job in the nonprofit world would be pretty easy if it wasn't for people. People are difficult, and broken people are difficult. And we're in the business of helping people that are struggling, and it's a very difficult job and to do. But man, there's no So that happened here. I spoke at I did Triton MMA in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. I did a jiu-jitsu seminar, invited all those guys to come here. We speak at Broken Arrow Church Assembly in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. And then there was a guy named Reed Hasty. He was a black belt there. He came. And then there's another guy in the crowd named Pete, a Marine. And so kind of two people, two very different stories. I stood on I don't have a flyer here, but I stood in the pulpit of that church, and I held up a flyer. I do it every time I speak, especially in a community. And I said, this flyer's from Mighty Oaks. Everything's free. We pay for your travel. If you're struggling, you're not alone, right? You don't need to be alone. Sign up, come to the program. And every time a church is that wife that's nudging her husband, like, that's you. And Pete, this guy Pete was a Marine. His wife was Heather was nudging him. That I have the ability to get in front of, that what he said was a lie. This wasn't for me. My life's not better. She's talked about how she at the mark, she literally put her head on his chest to try to summon a heartbeat because she just couldn't believe he was dead, and how like calling his mom, and how his mom screamed and would never be the same again. She talked about like at night when she needs him, like he's not there. This is like, and she said something that profoundly impacted me. She said, Pete thought taking his life was removing all the pain, but all he did was transfer his pain to everyone that loved him. And, I'll never forget that. And Heather's one of the most amazing women. I've seen her speak to so many warriors about this story. Grown, tough, like infantry Marines, like run out the room because they can't face hearing her talk about those truths. Like literally, like get up and flee because they can't sit here and listen to her talk about that. And just exposing that lie that, that she would be better off, right? My family would be sad without me, but they'll be better off. Just exposing that lie that she's done it so well. And so in that church congregation was Pete, who made that decision. And then it was Reed Hasty, who made a totally different decision. Reed said, I'm going to come, right? I'm going to take that invitation. I'm going to come. But Reed was like dealing with the jiu-jitsu black belt guy. He was dealing with such like anxiety and panic that most weeks he'd be in the VA. They take him to the inpatient clinic, put him behind the glass wall. He said how humiliating it was when they take his shoelaces away because they didn't trust him with his shoelaces. And, this guy like led in combat, charging millions of dollars of equipment, now can't be trusted with the shoelaces. His anxiety was so bad, it took us 6 months, about the time that Pete killed himself, to get him on a plane to fly to California, right? You think about it, a direct flight from Oklahoma to California, that he was at that level of anxiety, he couldn't take that flight. Reed comes to Mighty Oaks. He actually has a surrender of his faith, becomes a Christian, comes back to Mighty Oaks. His life's turning around, becomes an instructor, teaches so many programs. He's an incredible instructor, becomes our head programs trainer for all of our team leaders at Mighty Oaks. Then he goes back to his community and he starts what we call these local outposts. And so these local outposts, little places where people meet weekly. He would say when he first started, he'd show up, he was the only one. And no one showed next week, he's the only one. He would just read his Bible. Now, today, he has 13 locations, 350 people meet per week in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. And because of him, 130 Tulsa police officers have come to Mighty Oaks because of him. The chief of Tulsa PD said it's changed the culture of the department and changing the whole city of Tulsa because 130 police officers came to Mighty Oaks. This one guy. And last year, it was the most profound moment for me because he joined our international team. Reed did. This guy who couldn't fly from Oklahoma to California gets in a plane with me, flies to Krakow, Poland, gets in a car, drives into war, like combat Ukraine. We drive about 18 hours through Ukraine, cross Russian lines. We get about 2 hours past Russian lines, literally like through the night, like IDF was hitting indirect fire, like, bombs are hitting like within 200 meters of us. And Reed's totally fine. We're up in the middle of the night talking. He's totally fine. The next day, we go speak to these Ukrainian troops. And he pulls up a stool and hundreds of Ukrainian troops around him. And he shares a story. And I remember just watching him share a story and thinking, man, I stood in that pulpit and Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, and held up that flyer and said, "You want to get well, right? It's time to stand up and move forward, right?" And he didn't just get well; he found purpose again, and he's sharing it all the way, in war-torn Ukraine. And it just so profound to me to see, that's why it's so important to me, and it's so profound to me to see people not just get well. It's not okay to just get better, right? We have to have purpose again, and we have to be world changers, and that's what we do at Mighty Oaks. I could name hundreds, if not thousands, of stories like that. Reed's just one that pops in my mind, and it has a lot this year. But
you gotta have Reed on the podcast, man.
Oh, Reed's yeah, you'd love that, Reed, man. Reed's awesome. Yeah, Reed is awesome.
Can we get their info to see if we get them if they have interest in doing this, especially for like some police officers? Hey guys, follow us on all social media platforms to include Instagram, Twitter, Facebook group. We have so much information going out every single day, and we don't want you to miss out on any of that stuff. So check it out. Go give us a follow. Earlier you talked about, purpose. And I know that you're doing everything in your power that you can do. And I know the why. But how do you find yourself satisfied at the end of your life? What do you need to tell yourself knowing you could die peacefully?
Man, I think for me that it's legacy, right? It's for me, it's not just about sometimes I was on this was years ago, but when I first started getting this platform to be able to speak and reach others, this person read my resume, and it was it still happens now, but at this moment, it was the first time they hit me. They're reading my bio, and I literally want to crawl under their table and hide. And the guys, after the guy reads my bio, was how's it feel to hear you did an incredible life? You've done 100 lifetimes of things. And I'm like, it honestly, when I hear you read that, it makes me sound like a discontent, person that just chased ambition after ambition after ambition and never found what they were looking for. Cause that's what I hear when I hear that. Cause all those accolades I have, it was me chasing something that I couldn't find. And it was all for me. And by the way, I'm proud of the things I've done, proud of, my athletic career, and I'm proud of being a Force Recon Marine and serving on those deployments. But a lot of the motivation during those times was just not right. And so, at this point in my life, my motivation is not about personal accolades. It's about impacting the world for others, people, and using the experiences and the gifts and the talents that God's given me to impact others, and then leaving it in a way that it continues on beyond me. And one of the things early on at Mighty Oaks that I wanted to make sure of that, hey, I'm gonna build this organization. It's gonna be massively impactful. I just knew it. But if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, it needs to go on without me. This is not about me. It's about the mission. It's about the cause. And so I've really been deliberate to try to build an organization that way, and very intentional about that. And so when I die, I want, people to be able to look at this organization, man. Chad was part of building something that is going to outlive him. And, so many nonprofits, especially in the Christian space, so many nonprofits are built around an individual. That individual dies and his life's over. And the cause, not the organization. The organization is just peripheral. The cause dies, and that's tragic. So for me, when I die, I want to make sure that everything I invested and built in, it just people are sad or happy, whatever, for a moment, but the mission continues. And that's for me. That's my legacy. That's what I want to build, and that's what I'm intentional about every day, because I know I'm not going to be here forever. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. So whether it's tomorrow or 50 years from now, whenever it is, I want that mission to continue.
Same. I just at some point see myself telling those around me, did everything that I could do. Right, wrong, or indifferent. It wasn't perfect. I wasn't perfect. I was a human being. I was flawed. But I didn't leave anything on the table, I hope.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that when you're in the spotlight or people are looking at you for hope, one is there's a big responsibility, but two, people have to recognize that we are human beings as well. And so we are flawed. And there are moments in my life that I am not proud of, but there are a lot of moments that I am proud of too. So, for me, I think about that day often of I'm happy with the work that I was able to do. I'm ready to move on. I hope.
Yeah.
What are some of the challenges you guys are facing now with the new world conflicts going on. Very upsetting. I just, as somebody who's a humanitarian and just really feels a lot of compassion and empathy, there's guilt for me at times. What kind of things are you guys now facing with the conflict in like Israel and all over the world? I mean, did you see the thing yesterday that came out where some pro Hamas groups were storming one of the airports in Russia looking for Jewish people to kill? Crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I mean, first I'll say with that, this pro-Palestinian movement in the United States is, I think it's terroristic. I think when you have U.S. Congress members sitting in Congress flying a Palestinian flag, which is no different than flying a Taliban flag outside the U.S. Congress office, they should be immediately removed from that building. That's the people's house, and supporting acts of violence against a group of people that's focused on genocide. And this is not a political position. That's disgusting and despicable to me that we have members of our Congress that are provoking this stuff, that we have, mayors and governors and universities. This is not confusing. Like people like to me, like the simplest way to put it is, if Israel lays down their arms, then what happens? They're genocided. They're going to be exterminated. If the Palestinians and Hamas lays down their arms, what happens? There's peace. There's you have Arabs in parliament, in the government. This 35% of Israel is Arabs that participate in their culture and their government. This is not what people are making it out to be. This is not Israel's not persecuting Muslims. They're part of the culture there. This is a land grab that's been going on for 3,000 years, and the lie is that this is the Palestinians' land. It's not. I mean, the historical evidence shows this is the Indians in this, or the Jewish people, and this is not my opinion. This is just history. So people are making them very uneducated, ill. It's probably scary. It's probably inconvenient, the flights and stuff like that. But there's charter flights out there, and there's a lot of great NGOs that are helping people line charter flights. But I don't think this isn't Afghanistan. This isn't Ukraine. The IDF is very capable of protecting their borders. They've been doing it for a very long time. There's I think there's 400,000 IDF soldiers on the borders. They don't need U.S. NGOs going in there getting in the way. And so we're not going into Israel and getting Americans out. There's other ways that we're participating, and I won't say what other ways we're participating, but we're not going into Israel. But we've had a lot of requests for that, and so we just had to make a very deliberate decision. And we've talked to the Prime Minister's office in Israel, and hey, what do you guys need? And honestly, what they need is they need support the U.S. military as a backer, but really they need to be left alone to do what they do, and they have the ability to defend their country. U.S. military has, put the 24th MEU out there in the ocean, and that's a great deterrent. But outside of that, I think if people leave this thing alone, it would fizzle out. But it seems like it's being highly provoked from a lot of people with agendas.
Media's got a lot of money involved.
Yeah, for sure.
Stuff big media wants. They love this shit. This is the death of others is what sells advertisements.
Yep.
Page clicks, right? Viewership, Nielsen ratings.
I mean, look, this administration has done nothing but provoke war since day one. And, the left, the Democratic Party, talks about warmongers and neocons and stuff like that, and the military industrial complex. Though this the left always talking about that. But we just came out of, a 4-year presidency of President Trump with no wars and the deconfliction of wars around the world. And whether you love President Trump or hate President Trump, that's just a fact of what happened during the 4 years of him in office. And then this buffoon takes office, and whoever's in charge of pulling his strings, the world's burning down because of foreign policy and the decisions they're making. And from Afghanistan to Ukraine to you get down in the weeds of the policy decisions he's made. It's created from giving $6 billion to Iran, just 2 weeks before this happened, and freeing up $6 billion. And people could say that, oh well, that money was caged, and money's fungible, and you can move money around. It's a shell game. So if anybody thinks that this money wasn't part of this attack because it was planned 2 years out, they're just fooling themselves. When we start giving billions of dollars to the sponsor of terrorism. In fact, the press secretary or whatever it is of Hamas thanked Iran for the recent money that they had got right before the attack. So,
man,
and not to mention we see Hamas using U.S. weapons, and no coincidence we left $80 billion in U.S. weapons in Afghanistan. We left weapons in Syria, and in 2011 we left President Obama left Al-Assad Air Base in Iraq with weapons there, but nothing like the $80 billion in equipment we left in Afghanistan. But to see U.S. weapons being used against the Israeli people is atrocious.
Ugh. What do we do?
Yeah, man, we have to. I think we, the people, we have to take back control of our country. This country does not belong to political elitists. It does not belong to the elected officials in DC. It certainly doesn't belong to the globalists. This country belongs to we, the people. And, I think people have to start taking this country back. And that doesn't mean the 2024 elections in the White House. That means from the school boards on up, we have to take back control of our country. And it means it's a time where, people can't be passively sitting by and I'm a big person of prayer. I'm a Christian. I believe that we pray, but we also have to be people of action. And I believe that, I do believe that, the hearts of the people of America turn, then God is not done with the American experiment yet. But he expects action, and we have to be people of action, and we have to be, active. If you're not happy to I don't know who to vote for, run for a public office, serve. I know several people that have stepped up and served us. I'm not okay with what's going on with school board. I ran for school board leader and to be run the chairman of their school board, and have taken those seats because they just wasn't okay with what was happening. And we just have to take back control of our country. And this is our country. And I think we've given it away. And literally, we the people have given it away to political elitists who have no concern about the American people. Their only concern is themselves and their own enrichment and power and greed. And it's inconvenient for us to do that, right? Everybody wants to be a consumer of the American dream, but it's times we need to be contributors. And this is one of those times. Again, it's inconvenient. People don't feel like doing it, but it's time for people to stand up and take this country back. If you don't think and if it hasn't got bad enough to incentivize you to do that, then stand by, because it's going to get worse.
Yeah, I have 4 kids, and I think about how deserving they are of a good life, and how badly I want to give it to them, how much I don't want to disrupt it, or it's again, I'm not trying to be somebody who is pushing an agenda of doomsday. I think that overall, a far majority of this company bleeds red, white, and blue, and so that I rest my laurels on. And comfort of, that's, again, I've got to be able to drink my own Kool-Aid. The media is pushing an agenda that is, you can always tell what's going on in the world by basically what the headlines are and how bullshit they are. So when you have more bullshit headlines, that means there's nothing really important that they feel can push the kind of, they're now riding that fine line of going too far. So they'll dip their toes in the water, see how things feel. when you pop open, and I don't want to say any particular news media, but and it's kind of stupid shit, that might mean things are good right now. Too good, to be
Yeah.
quite honest with you.
Yeah, it's but first of all, I agree with you. I just got back from speaking this weekend. I went to Provo, Utah, and I went to Conway, Arkansas, two small town America places. And you turn on the news and it looks like the world's upside down. Our country's falling apart. Like it's it's a hell in a handbasket. Truth is, man, I get the privilege of going around the country and seeing that there's still God-loving, patriotic Americans that love this country and are not done fighting for this country. And they want change. And as I get to do that, that's probably what keeps me most encouraged. I get to go around and see these pockets, across the country. And it's just, America's still full of just amazing, good people who believe the way most of us believe and are in line and wanting to just, bring our country back to where, to who we really are.
I don't think people realize how good we have it. Like, how about this? I went to Fright Fest last night. At Six Flags, I went to Fright Fest and I brought 4 other kids that weren't mine, my 4, and that's what we did on Sunday night, and it was phenomenal. At the same time, there's just this guilt of like, I wonder what it's like to be the person who's stuck in a war zone, wondering how they're ever going to get out. And Americans here are feeling it like so entitled, but I'm at fucking Fright Fest having churros.
Yeah.
Right? Like, do you understand what that must feel like? If I can get everybody to think for a second and try to really imagine what it would feel like to wondering how you're going to eat, where you're going to find water, and if you're going to make it out of this thing alive in the next 24, 48, 2 weeks, a month.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Me and Aziz were traveling, and Aziz, for those who know Aziz's story, like Aziz is the one that we rescued from Afghanistan, and he was my interpreter, and that led to us rescuing 17,000 people. And as the city's falling, and they're specifically coming for Aziz, and he's like in the last stand. He's giving his wife and his 6 kids, like an AK-47, hand grenades, a PKM. Like, if they come from this corner, like, we're gonna make our last stand. We're gonna die, but he's giving his children guns and hand grenades to make their last stand. And then they left with a backpack, and before we got them out, like, and so we're traveling to go speak, and we're waiting we get our coffee at Starbucks, and we're waiting, and this lady got the coffee wrong, and she lost her mind on the barista, and he just laughed. He's like, this lady thinks she's having a bad day. And so he didn't say much more of it, but he went to speak, and he gets up to speak, and he's like, sometimes in America, what I've observed is you guys think you're having a bad day. He's like, let me tell you about a bad day. And he went on to share his story. But we just lose perspective sometimes and don't realize that we have it. But we could feel guilty about that, right? And like you mentioned feeling guilty, or you could use that amazing, I don't want to say privilege, but amazing blessing that we have being in America. We could use this position to have the bandwidth to help others, whether it's speaking out like you do in your show, or donating money or time or energy. Like, you could use that blessed opportunity that we have to be in America, and not just feel guilty about it, but use it to help others. I mean, there's so much need out there, and so many great causes to get behind. Mighty Oaks is just one of them. We have it good, and it's awesome that we have it good. And so let's use that good that we have, that bandwidth that we have, the extra resources, the abundance that we have to help others that can't help themselves. That's a lot. Funny. That's a lot more effective than feeling guilty about it. Right.
I like the saying, and if you want to do something great for the world, go home and love your children. Mother Teresa.
Yeah.
The reality is sometimes that's about all you can do in certain situations of your life, is just do what you can. And sometimes it's a lot more simple, but very, very humanistic to just be that. So for me, like, I may not have had the best day, the most productive day, but I know every day I have full intention of being a good human being to somebody else.
Yeah.
And those little gestures and those little things are, and I say these things because they're the things that change the world. They're the things that restore hope for people. I don't tell stories because I want people to believe that I'm this guy or try to sell you that I'm this guy. Anybody who knows me knows that I am that guy. And I'm so proud of that. But I also don't like do the things that I do for that reason. I just really enjoy being a good human being. I fucking love it.
It feels a lot better than being a freaking turd to everybody around you. I kind of started this, like, yeah, I travel around and I hate rude people. Like, that's one of my pet peeves, like people that just rude for no reason. So I used to get like really irritated, like, especially it seems like flight attendants, there's like some of the rudest people, the people in the airline. I fly a lot, and the people at the front desk. So I made it a game. It may sound silly to people, but I made it a game. Like, instead of like getting irritated with those people, I try to see if I could win them over. So I make it like it's just everything's a challenge to me. So I make it a game. So if somebody's being rude to me, I'm like, before this interaction's over, I'm gonna have this person laughing or smiling or my best friend, and I make it like a challenge. And it's crazy to me that I bat almost 100 out of 100 doing it. And I'm just kind of I could be irritated with that person, or I could just have fun with it. They don't even know I'm doing it, and the next thing you know, they're my best friend.
Hey guys, if you're enjoying the Street Cop podcast, do me a favor, just give us a rating and a review. We don't ask for anything else other than a review, and it helps us tremendously. The last question I have for you is, and it's burning me up the entire time, how's Aziz?
Yeah, Aziz is awesome. So one of the things we said early on when we got Aziz out is kind of back to what we talked about, Reed, right? It's not okay just to get people well. We need to give them purpose again, right? We need to get them engaged in life again. It was the same thing with the Afghans. Like, we're going to get these interpreters out, and they're going to come back to America, and they're going to have to assimilate in American culture. And it's not okay just to get them out. We need to get them free, not free of the Taliban or free of Afghanistan, but free of the things that they're going to be struggling with. Free of the baggage they're carrying. Because look, I did 8 deployments to Afghanistan. Some of these guys did 20 years straight of fighting. When they left Afghanistan, I came home to my family. Some of them's family is still there. They left with a backpack, right? And our government has nothing in place for them. They don't treat them any different than in fact, they treat them less than someone coming across the border illegally. So they don't get any support. They can't go to the VA. There's nothing to help them for their PTSD, their anxiety, depression. There's no medical care for them. They have nothing. And so I told Aziz early on, hey, we're hiring you at Mighty Oaks, and your job for the next year is to train and become equipped to lead this program culturally, help us build this program that has an SIV program to help welcome these guys in and provide the same care that we provide for our troops. We can provide that SIV program at Mighty Oaks for them. And so this past month, we did our first program, and we had 17 special immigrant visa interpreters that all worked for the CIA. They were in a 00 unit. They came through Mighty Oaks, and Aziz led that program. So for the last year, he's been helped build that program, and he's been going around the country speaking to interpreters and letting them know about it, kind of bringing the awareness of it and letting them know the program exists for them. And we're a Christian organization. These guys are all Muslims, right? Come to the program and just help them understand, like, hey, you have your beliefs and the way you were raised, but this is what we believe that will help you live beyond this hardship you've been through. Give them biblical principles of living. It was an amazing week. We didn't know how it was going to turn out. We didn't know if there's going to be cultural pushback or because of the religious ideologies. It was just incredible. And we were just a group of U.S. veteran Christian men loving on a group of guys who served alongside of us for 20 years and fought alongside of us and helping them move forward. And it was phenomenal. And I could not be more proud of Aziz for how he led that, because it was a tremendous amount of work for him. I mean, because some of these guys didn't speak English. So he was interpreting. He was culturally helping us navigate it. And so he's doing phenomenal professionally, but personally, he's doing great. His wife, Hatra, is doing amazing. And all of his kids, they go to church with us. They have jobs in the community. And one of the coolest things, his middle daughters actually joined Marine Corps ROTC in high school. His middle son is playing Texas football. Is one of the daughters, the oldest daughter, Mashuda, is doing taekwondo. All things that he could never done in Afghanistan. She works at a coffee shop, and it's
so cool, man.
It's incredible, man. It's really incredible. It just really moves my heart to see them. And they're, like I said, they're not just here as recipients. They're like out there, contributing to community and doing things. That's just who they are, anyways. But Yeah.
Wonderful, dude.
So, and then, the Saving Aziz book actually did very well, and it's being made in a motion picture film, and that's coming along. I think, right now, the only thing they're just waiting to hire the director. The script's done. It's being done by, I can't say the production company, but everyone listening would recognize who's doing the film. They can't assign a director, actually hire the director until the SAG strike is over. And I think it'll be over pretty soon here. And then they'll assign the director and get to casting and production. So
it's so good, dude. It's so good, like, to hear that. And, I know that I guess we're kind of a masculine group, even though I kind of look like I'm super polished here compared to you and your rugged special forces facial hair.
I'm homely because I'm sick right now.
Yeah. No, you're not homely. You're gorgeous. You have fantastic teeth. But dude, you are a beautiful soul and a gift to the world, and it's amazing, man. And I'm sure you've heard it a million times, but it's so cool to be in your presence and like just hear it's just, you're an example for everybody. And I want you to know that you're just an example for everybody.
Appreciate it very much. And I'm thankful for what you're doing and using your platform to be a world changer. So that's what it's about.
Where can people find out more information about Mighty Oaks, anything that you need, your Instagram? Yeah.
I mean, my Instagram is the best way to track me. It's just another name. I think Chad Robo _official, but you can just search Chad Robichaux. I got a verified account. And then mightyoakprograms.org is the website. ChadRobichaux.com is another website. You can follow me, either one of those. But I stay most active on Instagram, and then you could, my show, which we want to get you on. Stay Dangerous is my podcast.
Do you guys have a studio? You do that in person?
Yeah, all of our guests are in person.
Yeah, I'll fly in for that.
Yeah, we'll have a good time. We'll go hang out, go to the range, go shoot, go eat some good food.
Can we go kill hogs and shit? That sounds like fun.
Oh yeah, we can kill hogs here.
Yeah, that's cool. I'll kill some fucking hogs.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, it's fun, and we usually take because they're a nuisance here, right? So they tear stuff apart. So, but I grew up in South Louisiana. I've been raised not to waste anything. So usually we'll take the hogs and gut them and then throw them back a truck and then drop them off at there's several like butcher markets that'll take the meat and process it for the homeless. And it's not bad meat; it's good meat. So I actually put it to use, and yeah.
Listen, man, I appreciate you so much, and always a pleasure. And I'm going to text you shortly.
Yeah, sounds good, man. Yeah, let's lock on. Do some more work together, and we'll could schedule us to whenever you're out in Texas, we can get you on the show. So
yeah, that's great, man. Thank you so much.
Absolutely,
guys. Man. Chad Robichaux. Hey guys, check out our upcoming training at streetcop.com. Don't forget, we have 50 instructors nationally teaching a variety of topics. These are the best classes you're going to experience in your career. We make sure of it. You're going to love it. I guarantee you're going to be thankful that you went. Check us out at streetcop.com for all upcoming classes in your area.